Alright guys, let's create a paragraph generator using React. Alright, as you can see, I've already created a React app using Vite and installed tailwind css for styling the paragraph generator. Alright, now let's do one thing. I can simply come here and create a div, and what I can say is h1, and let's name it as paragraph generator. Now let's do one thing. Give a class name, and let's say the text is center and font should be bold. Text should be, let's say, 2XL. Now if I save this and go to my output, as you can see, our paragraph generator text is visible. Now let's increase a bit, let's say 4XL. Alright, now let's do one thing. Let's create a form. So under the h1 tag, let's create a form, and within this form let's give a label. Let's say paragraph, let's say number of paragraph, and under this label I can create an input tag which will take number as an input, and it will have a placeholder, and let's say type the number. Now if I save this and go back, as you can see, our number of paragraph label is visible along with the input tag, but it's not centered. So to do that, come back to my form tag and give a class name here. Class name flex justify center items center. As you can see, it's now in center, and let's say my of 5. Now what we can do, let's increase the font size of this label. So let's say text XL will be fine. Alright, now font should be medium. It has a gap of 4. As you can see, there is now a gap between the input tag and the number of paragraph label. Now what we can do is, in my input tag, let's give a class name here as well. Let's say p of 2, and text should be base, font will be medium. Now if I type number here, as you can see, it's visible. Now what we have to do, we have to create a button which on clicking will generate the paragraph. So let's create a button. Inside the button we can write generate paragraph. Alright, as you can see, our button is visible. Now let's style it a bit. So give a class name, let's say py of 2, bg slate 900, text white, text sm, font bold. Right, if I save this and go back, as you can see, our button is visible. Now let's do one thing. Let's make this p of 2. Alright, let's say py of 2 and px of 4. Alright, as you can see, our button is visible, input tag is visible along with the label. Alright, now here we have to create the paragraph. So let's create a new file called data.js inside my source folder, data.js. Now inside this I have to create an array of object, or what you can do is you can get an API from where you can extract data. But for this tutorial I am using hard-coded data, so for that I have to use an array of object. Let's say exports const data. Within this array I have to create the paragraphs. So let me quickly do that and come back to you. Alright, as you can see, I have imported some of the data here, and we have around 7 paragraphs. So now what we can do is we can go back to our app.jsx, and we have some states here already which was already there from the previous, but you have to create one if you don't have any states. So create const count and set count and initialize it with states as a 0. Now in the input tag, what we can do is we can set our value count. Right, now after this what we can do is we can create an on change event handler inside the input tag and write here e. Now set count e.target.value, Now what this will do is when we change our input, it will set our count to the input value which we have changed to. We also have to create an event for this button, on clicking which we have to create the paragraph. So let's create that first. So let's say const handle para. You can name it whatever you want. Now first what we have to do is we have to prevent the default form behavior that do not reload when button is clicked. So to do that we can write e.prevent default and type here e, otherwise it will not work. Alright, now we have to create a variable which will be used in this function. So to create that, let's say let amount equals to parse int count. Now it will take the count's value. Now as you can see, I have created the variable. Now what I have to do is I have to run a if statement. If amount is less than 1, then amount will be equals to 1. Alright, if amount is greater than 7, then our amount will be 7. Alright, now what we have to do is we have to create another state to display our paragraphs. So come back here, under this first state which we created, that is our count and set count state, we have to create another state. So create that. Let's say const text and set text, and we have to use use state, and within this use state we have to use array. Why? Because our paragraphs consist of array. Now come back to our function, and within this function we have to write set text, and within the set text we have to write data.slice 0 to amount. Alright, to 0 to amount. Now this data is coming from the data.js file which we created earlier. Alright, now after this we have to simply return it, so it will return some value. Now come back here, and within this form I can write on submit handle para and change the type of this button to submit type. So type submit. Now after this I can come back here, under this form I can write curly braces, and within that curly braces I can write text which is our state dot map, and it is a function, so it will take some parameters. So as a parameter I am taking data and index, and do not use curly braces here. If you use curly braces here, you have to use return to display the results, but I am using this first bracket, so it will instantly return the result. Within this I can create a div here. Now under this div I can write paragraph, and within that paragraph, within a curly braces I can write data. And remember, every map function should have a key function to function properly. So key, and for the key I am using index. Alright, now if I save this and go back, as you can see it's not visible, but if I increase the para number and generate, as you can see our paragraph is visible. Now it's a 2 paragraph because I have written 2 here. Now if I increase this, as you can see the paragraph increased. Now we have to decorate it a little bit, so let's do that. So to do that I can simply come here, class, and give a padding of, let's say, px10. Now if I save this, and let's give a class name here and write that text will be base and font will be, let's say, medium. Right, now if I save this and go back, as you can see our paragraphs are visible. Now if I reduce this number and generate it, as you can see the number of paragraphs is reduced. This is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Right, now remember I have only given 7 paragraphs, so if I increase my number to above 7, let's say 12, and generate it, it will only create 7, as I have only 7 paras in my array. Alright, now as you can see we have created our project. Alright, our project is done, and I'll be pushing this to my GitHub. So if you want the source code, you can get it from my GitHub link, which will be down in the description. And if you like the video, hit the like button, share it, and comment down below some project ideas which you want from me in my channel, and see you again in the next project. Till then, peace.